All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're working on lesson 4.8, which is exploring area. It's a little bit further into the covering of area that we did yesterday. Okay, yes, we did before yesterday. So our key math learnings are, the first one, you should know this already, that area is the amount of surface a shape covers, and it's measured in square units. Okay? The next thing you have to realize is area can be found by covering a shape or surface with square units and then counting those squares. And the third one, the area of a rectangle can be found by multiplying the number of rows of squares by the number of units in each row. Okay, can you put the pens down, please? Pretty noisy. So, talk about some of the vocabulary. You're going to know what is area. Again, you should know this. This is something I want you to know when someone asks you. So there's a good chance this is going to be on a quiz coming up. What is area? It's the amount of surface a shape covers and is measured in square units. How do you find area? You find it by covering a shape with units which are exactly the same, and then you count those units. In this case, we're talking about using squares for this lesson. Now, why do the squares have to be the same shape? Can anybody tell me that? Caitlin.
So that you know that there's exactly that much.
Yes, exactly. If I tried to take and measure stuff, and I had a square this big, beside a square this big, how am I going, besides a little tiny square, and I say that the area is, 3 squares, it doesn't make much sense, does it?
Because they're not all the same size.
They're not all the same. So you don't really tell anybody what the area is. What you're really doing is just giving them information that's really not very useful to them. So what we have here is area has to be measured in units. To get a true measure, those units must be the same. And if you think back to when we were doing the covering of shapes with triangles, rhombuses, and trapezoids, we always had the same size triangles, the same size trapezoids, and the same size rhombuses, right? And that's why it worked. Moving on then. So how can you find the area of the following rectangle? Any guesses? Yes? Putting the same size squares in it. So we need to cover the unit with a shape. And you said what kind of shape?
Square.
How's that? I predicted what you were going to say. Ta-da. So how many squares do you think goes in there? Ryan? 6. You think 6? Brooke?
6. 7.
Leon says 6?
7.
7? Well, let's find out. I'm going to grab my little machine right here, and I'm going to grab my little, put that up, grab that there, make sure I'm going to go set. Oh, there you go. It's okay. 1. Well, it's not supposed to do that, but it does. That's 2. And that's 3. And that's 4. And that's 5. And that one is 6. So, how many square units does it take to cover this rectangle, Ryan? 6 square units, exactly. So this one is 6. So I guess I kind of messed up here. I was going to do it there. So it takes 6 squares to cover the rectangle. So the rectangle has an area of 6 square units. You see how that works? Why do we call them square units?
They're square.
Thank you, because they're squares. Okay? Alright. To make this easy, I'm going to help you out a little bit here. I'm going to give you an image. Now, what's the area of this image? Ethan? 8. 8, he says. Do you agree with Ethan?
Yes.
Well,
I agree with the smartboard.
you agree with the smartboard. Okay, so we know that there's 8 of them there. I agree, it's 8. So you get 8 by doing what? And what did Ethan, how did you find out there was 8? He just counted. And how do I know that? Because it's something it says. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can just count the squares. But there is another way too. You can also multiply the number of rows by the number of squares in each row. So there are 2 rows. There are 4 in each row. So 2 times 4 is 8. Good job. 4 plus 4 is 8. That's true too. Okay, so this figure has an area of 8 square units. Next question. What's the area of this one, Kate?
$18.
18, he says. All right. I agree.
He's right.
3 times 6 is 18. There are 3 rows, right? There are 6 squares in each row here. So 3 times 6 gives you 18. Yes? Well, you could do 6 columns of 3. Yeah, that would also work. All right? Now this one's a little bit trickier. Okay, Matthew? Just give me a second to count.
31.
21?
31.
31. So Matthew says there's 31. How many of you agree? Put your hand up. Looks like Matthew, looks like you got a lot of agreement in your classmates. So I can tell you right now, the way I would do this is this. I would start with 4 times 7. Why do I do 4 times 7? You said that's what you're going to do. Why would you start with 4 times 7?
Because there's 7 in the top.
That's correct. So there's 7 up here, right from there to there. Yeah.
And then there's 4 in a row.
And there's 4 here this way. So 4 times 7 means
And then you add 3.
20, and then you add 3. Boy, you are so smart.
Because
Yeah.
31, because times
what
have
you-
to be even. All
Okay.
numbers have to be
Yeah, why can't I just go 1, 2, and just go like that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why can't I just go 5 times 7 and say, does that, that's the answer. Haley.
The number at the bottom is for good enough numbers in 4 rows.
Right, we have a difference right here. There's no squares there, is there? So I can't assume that I've got basically 7 in each row and 5 rows. There isn't 5 rows. And? Never mind. All right. Do you all understand that this shape has 31 square units?
Yes.
Good job. Now, this is the next thing. Here's going backwards. Now, what's the opposite of multiplying?
Dividing.
Right, so that's your hint. We're going to go backwards. So the area of a rectangle is 24 square units. The rectangle has 6 squares in each row. So how many rows are there? All right, let me ask somebody who... Okay, Abby.
There's 4.
4 rows. How did you get 4 rows?
Because 4 times 6 is 24.
There we go. So she worked it like this. She said, if I've got 6 in each row, what do I multiply it by to get 24? And she figured out that you've got to have 4. Now, when we talk about families, what is one of the facts, remember the relations? What's the dividing relation for this statement here? Sydney.
24 divided by 4 or 24 divided by 6.
All right, now we were given 6 and 24, so let's use 24 divided by 6, and that will tell you how many you have. So that is a 4. All right?
You know, because you do it every day.
Magic.
You always do it every single day, Jada.
All right, so here we go. How many rows are there? You take 24 squares, divided by 6 each row gives you 4 rows, so 24 divided by 6 is 4, and that is what we just did.
No.
I'm so happy that you are so glad to see me.